This is Angel Michael. Welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about the event that everybody is talking about, and that is the solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017. What does all of this mean? There's so much speculation. I want to give you a little bit of different things I've heard, then I want to give you my opinion. I'd also like to pose a question to you. Does this mean, this eclipse that's occurring, does this mean that America is going to be judged? Well, according to some people on the internet, as well as a lot of different channels on YouTube, that seem to point to this conclusion that America is going to be judged. Now, I do agree with that assessment, because I've been doing research of my own for a very long time now, and I believe that America is the great whore of Babylon, as talked about in Revelation 17. And I will show you that on the screen. From Revelation chapter 17, it states, "With the help of the Spirit, the angel took me into the desert, where I saw a woman sitting on a red beast. The beast was covered with names that were an insult to God, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet robes, and she wore jewelry made of gold, precious stones, and pearls. In her hand she held a gold cup filled with nasty and filthy things that she had done. On her forehead a mysterious name was written, 'I am the great city of Babylon, the mother of every immoral and filthy thing on earth.'" The Gospel writer John goes on to say, "I could tell that the woman was drunk on the blood of God's people who had given their lives for Jesus. This surprising sight amazed me. The angel said, 'Why are you amazed? I will explain the mystery about this woman and about the beast she's sitting on, and with its 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast you saw is the one that used to be and no longer is. It will come back from the deep pit, but only to be destroyed. Everyone on earth whose names are not written in the book of life before the throne in the time of creation will be amazed. They will see this beast that used to be and no longer is, but will once again be.'" Anyone with wisdom can understand. The 7 heads that the woman is sitting on stands for 7 hills. These heads are also 7 kings. 5 of the kings are dead. One is ruling now, and the other one has yet to come. But when he does, he will rule for only a short time. You also saw a beast that used to be and no longer is. That beast is one of the 7 kings, who will return as the 8th king, but only to be destroyed. The 10 horns that you saw are 10 more kings, which have not yet come into power. They will rule with the beast for only a short time. They all think alike and will give their power and authority to the beast." There are many other places in the Bible that talk about this great beast we also call the whore of Revelation. There's the passages in Jeremiah and Isaiah and a couple other prophetic books. All of them describe a nation of great power. They talk about how they're able to reach the sky. I don't know of any other country that has actually gone into space and then has spent the amount of billions and billions of dollars sending all kinds of satellites into space, like America has. Jeremiah talks about America being the hammer of the world. We have a great military power. We are the only superpower in the world. And we go around carrying a big stick. And when we don't like something, what people are doing, we take our military and go in and destroy them. There's no other country that does this. We have military bases on every continent on the planet. So the American Empire spans pretty much the entire world. And in prophecy, a mountain could also be a continent. That's also the description. And it talks about Babylon sitting on many waters. Well, America is completely surrounded on both sides by water. And we also, like I already said, is we have bases, and we store different military fleets and whatnot in different parts of the world on our naval bases. So America is everywhere. Our influence is everywhere. America is known for all the music, and look at all the stuff that America sells. I mean, we're an economic power. The book of Revelation talks about when this power is destroyed, the people of the earth will cry and wail because they don't have anywhere to sell their wares anymore. What other country in the world is known to be so powerful and so influential? I mean, people around the world want to know English. They trade with us. Look at all the, as far as like music and culture, there's no other country in the world that is as influential as America. So there's no doubt in my mind that America is this Babylon. Now, some people, of course, will want to say, well, America is not killing Christians. Well, not at the moment. However, we don't know what our government is doing in secret. Remember, the CIA is a secret operative organization, which basically has an unlimited amount of money. They do as they please. We know for a fact, and there have been a lot of whistleblowers that have come out and said that there are places that the CIA tortures people, which is against the law. And America is continually doing things that are against our Constitution. So little by little, we're losing our laws, and we are becoming a very dictatorial, evil country. America has never actually been a true Christian country, even from the beginning. But there have always been many people, influential people in this country who were Christians and are Christians and stand up for the truth. Because if it wasn't for America, there would not be as many Christians around the world because of all the evangelism. America was and still is a major evangelistic power for spreading the gospel. Unfortunately, that is being passed to the African continent. However, I'm excited to know that we have some wonderful African brothers who are now able to spread the gospel to their own people and to other parts of the world. So, but it's a shame. America is continually losing more and more freedoms. It all started, well, it's been going on for decades, for a very long time, but it all started with 9/11, the Bush administration, when they started, right after, of course, the whole incident with the towers falling down. That was their cue to start passing unjust laws. We had the Patriot Act, and then several other acts have been passed since then, and the Obama administration passed the NDAA, if I'm getting that right. It's the National Defense, I forget what each letter stands for, it's an acronym, but basically that law strips most people of their constitutional rights if they consider you to be a terrorist, and they really don't have to have any proof. They can come in, they can confiscate your property, put you in jail indefinitely with just a very slim piece of evidence. It doesn't even really have to be evidence, just whatever the government says. So basically, you don't have habeas corpus, don't have your basic rights anymore. Now, if they claim you to be a terrorist and you're a threat to society, well, your rights are just thrown out the window. So this is what happening right now in this country. We're quickly, very quickly, losing all our rights, and we're no longer a constitutional democracy. We're an oligarchy ruled by elitists. Just look at all the Congress people. Some of them have been in there for 25, 30, 40 years. And they're continually being put in the same power and position. I don't know why people keep voting for these people. They're scum. People like, I'm registered as a Republican, but I tell you, Republicans are no better than the Democrats. Of course, the main difference I see is that the Republicans are so liberal, it's ridiculous. But the Democrats are basically have become anti-Christian, anti-God, and basically are communists. But they're working together, not working to help the American people. They're working against the American people to take our rights away from us. And people will say, well, you're being a conspiracy if you want to start talking about them putting Christians in jail and all this sort of thing. Well, you know, I believe that eventually that's going to come. They're already taking a lot of rights away from people. And we have a very short period of time right now where we have somebody like President Trump who says he believes in people's rights, and he is helping somewhat. But he's only one person. The president doesn't have that much power, and he's got all these people in Congress against him, both on the right and the left. These people are corporate, and as well as the corporate elites. All of them are being paid off by the Rothschild family, George Soros, and all these other wealthy industrialists who are nothing but Satanists, who worship Lucifer in private at places like Bohemian Grove, and they claim that it's just a little ritual or whatever. But I mean, if these people are decent people who don't even supposedly don't believe in God, don't believe in the supernatural, don't believe in anything, so how come they go meet in private at these little private clubs and put on these silly rituals and dress up and have homosexual liaisons with gay prostitutes? I mean, what kind of... I don't know of any decent people that do that sort of thing. And then invite, children to come in and have sex with children. I mean, it's just disgusting. These are supposed to be world leaders. People of the entertainment industry are invited. I mean, all you gotta do is do some research and find out who is on the invitation list to the Bohemian Grove. And you have world leaders that go there. You have people in the corporate world, the big banks, all the big corporations, and they're all invited there. They always have their little agenda about what they're going to do for the coming year, how they're going to screw the rest of us out of more and more stuff. They're pushing their satanic agenda, trying to push for the trannies and every other perverted group out there that's completely against God's law and God's will. And if you speak up against this ridiculous nonsense, you're considered to be a hate monger, you're a bigot and whatnot, even though it's totally against God and His holy word. But of course, what do you expect from a bunch of perverted Satanists? And of course, that's not the only place that they meet. I'm sure they probably meet in the Vatican and other secret places. And we all know you can't get into American a powerful position in America or Congress, or let alone be president, unless you're a member of the Masons or some other secret organization. They groom people, probably even from a young person up, college and even below college. But you have to be a member of the Skull and Crossbones to even qualify. And most of them are pretty rich. I mean, I don't know of anybody who's become president whose family didn't have money. And all of them have ties to the Illuminati. And, of course, the Illuminati all tie back to the 13 main big-name people who, like the Rothschild family, for instance, who are big names in the banking industry. They run the Federal Reserve, they run the Bank of England, and they own about 90-some%, probably 95% of all the major corporations. If you do a little research, you'll find one company owns this one, company owns that, and they're all linked back, if you follow the paperwork, all the way back to the Rothschild family. They are worth $500 trillion or more. And they say they are atheists, they're Jews. However, I seriously doubt they're kin to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe on the border of Russia. They were converts to Judaism. They do not worship Yahweh. They worship themselves and they worship Lucifer. And it is a known fact that many people have done research on that family. All of them have done all kinds of satanic rituals for many, 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 many decades. And they use all their wealth and legal shenanigans to keep all this stuff hidden. It's finally coming out in the open. But these are the people behind the powers and the government. And you can't get into positions of power unless you're buddy-buddy with the Rothschilds and the Soros family and all these other people. They're the ones that pushing their agendas, these wicked agendas. Okay, now what does this have to do with the earthquakes and volcanoes that may possibly occur with the eclipse? Well, I've got several different articles here that are from a website called planetxnews.com. And let's see what the first one is here. Oh, yes, this is one of the things that I was talking about that could happen during August 21st, the Great American Eclipse. The writer of this article's name is David Mead. He said, let's look at some fascinating facts about the August eclipse. According to an article on the Countdown site, the eclipse occurs exactly 33 days before the Revelation 12 sign, beginning in the 33rd state of Oregon and ending in South Carolina at the 33-degree parallel. Notice the 33 numbers that go along with Masonic, the Masons. Okay, the eclipse maximum time is 2 minutes and 42 seconds. And then, of course, there'll be another eclipse that occurs in 2024, and it will be 4 minutes 28 seconds. Add both together and you equals to 7 minutes even. The day of the eclipse is August 21st, 2017. The eclipse is also exactly 40 days from Yom Kippur, and the path of totality will be 70 miles wide. The zone of totality arrives onshore at 1716 UT time, same exact time of the sunset in Jerusalem. 7 years later, another eclipse, and both will form over the United States that rests right over a region in southern Illinois called Little Egypt. The exact point where the two paths cross is in the town of Makanda, which used to be called the Star of Egypt. The first major city that will witness the eclipse is Oregon state capital, Salem. Salem is the shortened version of Jerusalem, which is the most prophetically significant city in the entire Bible. Jerusalem was originally called Salem in the days of Melchizedek, Genesis 14:18. The closest road to the exact point where the two eclipses cross is called Salem Road in Makanda, Illinois. The eclipse will be the first total solar eclipse that will only affect the United States since 1776, which is the founding of this country. Now let's move forward into the area of speculation. The Space and Science Research Center, called SSRC, performed a review of historical records for 350 years of volcanic activity. That's from 1650 to 2009. And seismic activity from the year 1700 to 2009 within the United States continental area. Compared the result with the sun's record of sunspots, a measure of solar activity. This study revealed an impressive degree of correlation for global volcanic activity, greater than 80.6%. It also revealed a pattern for the largest U.S. earthquakes. Knowing this, let's examine what may transpire during the August 21st, 2017 rare total solar eclipse. Here's the deal. The New Madrid seismic zone is on the direct path of the eclipse. Will the increased gravitational pull of the sun and moon alignment have any effect on the planet? The moon itself creates the tides. Its gravitational pull has enormous effects. So the question arises, when the moon and the sun are perfectly aligned during this eclipse, will this combined gravitational force cause unusual activity as it passes over? That's a good question. Years ago, I recall there was a geologist who insisted that the moon had potential effect on fault zones. He made very good arguments. I noticed that the eclipse will cross over the New Madrid fault line. In 1811 and 1812, arrived 4 of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded in America. Some even say that the one of these earthquakes, which occurred February 7, 1812, was potentially a magnitude 9.0 or larger. It actually destroyed a town, New Madrid, Missouri, and rang church bells 1,000 miles away in Boston and New York City. When you take all of this information at face value and combine it with the briefings that are explained in this guy has a book called about the 2017 arrival, you can say that the find is very, very curious. And Einstein made this comment: coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. That was a very interesting article. It's pretty good speculation. It's possible that we could have an earthquake of some magnitude. Who knows? What other speculation might there be? Well, I don't know. Some people also claim that there could be a possibility that the planet X could also be involved in another scenario. Now, some people may or may not agree that Planet X is even real, but from what I've read, that they have discovered that there is an object out there, and they've even said there's actually more than one object. It's actually a solar system. Now, if that's the case, and if that occurs at the same time, and they're bringing in, these planets are going to be affecting other planets in our solar system, how would that effect occur if they're close enough to our sun when all of this other conjunction is going on? How is that? I'm curious about how that's going to affect things. So the question would be, some people are thinking that with all the different signs that are occurring, we've already had the tetrad blood moons in 2014 and 2015. And now we're having this really spectacular event called the eclipse, the total eclipse of 2017. That this, along with what's going to occur in September 23rd, with the sign that's actually from the book of Revelation, where it talks about the woman, or the Virgo, who's the virgin, and she has the crown of stars, and she gives birth. That there are a lot of different views on that, but all these different signs coming at the same time, could it possibly be that maybe this might herald in the beginning of the tribulation? Interesting thought. This is what this one particular article has to say, also from that same website. It says it's amazing. A man named Leland Jones has proven beyond any shadow of doubt that the tribulation began September 22nd, 2017. Well, I don't know about claiming something like that, because nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen. We do know what the tribulation, or when the rapture occurs. Only Jesus, only the Father in heaven knows. But we do know that the signs are pointing that direction. So it could be this year, but I'm not giving any dates like this guy's doing. Now, this is also what he says. This is the date After extensive astronomical and biblical cryptoanalysis, as the beginning of the day of the Lord or the tribulation, the exact same date. He did some calculations, and this had to do with also with the Planet X arrival of this year. And I've got some pictures of showing some very strange looking. It looks like a double sun in the sky, and I'll put these up for you to see. I haven't seen anything in my part of the country, but these are showing mostly in the west of the United States and in the as well as in the Orient. There are lots of pictures people are taking of what looks like another sun. Now, if you've done any research on the Planet X, and according to what I've read, it's not just one planet. It's a dwarf star called Nemesis, and there's several planets that orbit about that star. You cannot see this star in the daylight because it's dark. And that's why the Vatican has built, like if they built or well, anyway, they've created what's called the Lucifer telescope, and I had a picture somewhere, and I'll show that. It's not a regular telescope in the sense like you normally think about seeing things in normal color. It's an infrared telescope. It only sees things in the infrared. And according to what I've read so far on the internet, is that they are seeing something like that. But I think it's interesting that they would choose a name called Lucifer. From supposed to be a Christian organization, quote unquote Christian, that is. And they chose that particular name. But anyway, there's something peculiar going on between the world leaders and the Vatican. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention before I make this video too long, but talking about the sign of Jonah. Now, this comes from comes from a pastor. We've already mentioned about the blood moons, but this guy named Mark Blitz has spoken about the eclipse that occurred in Nineveh back in the Old Testament. I think it was around 700 and so BC. Everybody who's familiar with the Bible knows who Jonah was. Jonah was a prophet, and God sent him to a neighboring country of Nineveh, Nineveh was the capital of the Syrian Empire, and they were the enemies of Israel. So Jonah didn't have much use for the people of Nineveh. But God loves all people, and he wanted these people to be saved because he's the creator of all mankind. Jonah, of course, had a nasty attitude, and he ran away. But he finally, after he went through being swallowed by a great fish, and then he died, and God rose and brought him back to life, he finally, begrudgingly, went back to Nineveh, 500 miles away. And anyway, I always wondered what was so significant about his preaching, because he sure probably wasn't a very eloquent speaker. He didn't really want to even be there, so he probably was kind of huffy the whole time. What I didn't know, the scripture talks about the day being dark, but actually there was a great eclipse that occurred during his time back in 765 BC. God allowed a major plague to hit the city of Nineveh, and right after that, according to Jewish tradition and as well as scientific instruments they have discovered, that around 763 there was a great lunar eclipse. There was a blood moon, which was a harbinger or omen to ancient peoples. That's when he went out and told the people of Nineveh with his message. Was very simple: repent of your evil ways, or the city will be destroyed in 40 days. The generation repented, but only because they saw so many different plagues that occurred. There were earthquakes, and I think that there was like plagues of different locusts or whatnot, as well as the very spectacular solar eclipse that basically blotted out the sun for a while. That was very scary, because ancient peoples conceived this as being an omen of doom and gloom, so they were very receptive to Jonah, what Jonah had to say. And this is interesting too, I didn't know this, but today the ruins of Nineveh lie within the city limits of Mosul in Iraq. I had no idea that they were that close. But anyway, I thought those were interesting articles that I think that you can draw your own conclusions from this information I've given you. I'm not saying that anything really bad is going to happen at all. The only thing I think about will occur with this eclipse is that it is a sign that God told us to watch for signs in the heavens. And He is showing us signs. We've already had the tetrad blood moons, which was a sign. That's a sign to the Israelites. I've also read that eclipses are a sign to Gentile nations, like America. It's interesting, this is the only country that will be experiencing this eclipse. And then it will occur again in 2024, exactly 7 years later. So my question is, and you can take this with a grain of salt and believe it or not, but will there be the beginning of, right after this eclipse, will there be the beginning of the tribulation? And will the second time be the coming of Christ? Or there are lots of other things you can think about here. Is it just the beginning of a season that God is warning us? Maybe this is like He warned the Israelites, hey, pay attention. So He had different things that occurred. We've already had quite a few things occur. We've had 9/11, which woke up people for a short time. And we had the stock market crash in 2008, which was 7 years later. There always seems to be a cycle of sevens, which I think is interesting. And then now we're having, in 2014, 2015, we had the tetrad blood moons. That was a sign. And now we're having another sign of the eclipse. So I think what He's doing is God is telling us to look up, that we need to be prepared. The end times are here. Now, I'm not saying that some of these things that the end times, when I speak of the end times, I'm referring to like the beginning of the tribulation, the appearance of the Antichrist. Now, I don't know when that's going to occur, but I think God is telling us, wake up, get ready. Things are going to happen very quickly from now on. So, a lot of people are still very hesitant to even talk about this and to believe it. Right now, there's so many scoffers. There have been so many people who have tried to give dates. They please do not set dates. I do not believe in setting dates. That makes Christians look very foolish when it doesn't occur. And it turns people off from the gospel. It turns people off from the Bible and Jesus, and they don't want to believe. And I'm sorry that is happening. But I think this is a wake-up call. I don't know about this Planet X and all this other stuff. I do know that they are searching for things in the sky. I think all of these are signs that the end times are coming up very quickly upon us. So we need to be ready. My question to you is, my listeners, are you saved? Are you ready for Jesus to come? Are you ready for tribulation? Whether you believe in a pre-tribulation, a mid-tribulation, or a post-tribulation event. I haven't made up my mind. I've read so much materials about and so many different verses is confusing. I really would like to believe in the pre-tribulation, and I mean, I'm sort of leaning towards the mid-tribulation, because I know we're not supposed to go through wrath, because the last 3.5 years are going to be the wrath of God poured out on this world. I'm not going to say one way or the other which I lean towards specifically. All I want to know for myself and for my listeners is, are you ready? Are you ready to suffer for Christ? Are you ready for Jesus to return? I mean, there are going to be some very serious times coming. You know, the United States may very well be hurt. May very well be destroyed. Not totally, but, you know, hurt very badly by other nations. Because, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, I believe America is Babylon. And we're coming to a point now, our leadership is getting more and more wicked. And I'm just wondering if maybe soon they aren't going to start persecuting Christians outright. They're already doing it behind closed doors, and they're sending money and weapons and whatnot to other countries, and they're torturing and killing Christians overseas. But they haven't done it here yet because there are too many people here that would oppose them. But if a great natural disaster, like maybe the, like I was saying, with all these earthquakes, and maybe there might be some debris coming from this planet X. I don't know. You know, Revelation talks about wormwood, and it's some type of comet or a meteorite or something like that, and it falls down and it destroys 1/3 of the people. The water is very destructive. 1/3 of the population of the world will be destroyed, and much of the earth will be messed up. So all these events are coming together. Everything seems to be coming into place, that we are getting ready to get into the very end time events. So my question to you is, are you ready? Are you saved? Are you sure? Now, if you're not sure, all you have to do is ask Jesus into your heart and life. If you believe that He is the Son of God and that He's coming back, whether you believe in the rapture or not, that doesn't matter. He's still He's still coming back, whether you believe in the pre-trib, the secret rapture, and all that sort of thing. But Jesus is coming back, and you need to be prepared. Do you want to go through all this judgment? Whether you believe in the pre-tribulation rapture versus the mid-tribulation, either way, I still think that we're going to suffer some persecution. Whether you want to believe that or not, people are already suffering persecution in other countries in the East, Near Eastern countries, like the Muslim countries. They're slaughtering those poor people like crazy. So don't expect that the people in America are going to be immune from suffering, because we're not going to be immune. Now, I don't think we're going to go through that terrible time of wrath, but I still think we're going to see some persecution. But anyway, to be saved, I want you to make sure that you are saved. If you believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, ask Him into your heart, into your life, to remove the sins from your heart and your life. Ask for the Holy Spirit to come and fill you, and He will. All you have to do is ask, and He promises that He will come and He will save you. Thank you so much for listening to the video, and it went on a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but it was an important message. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you.